Welcome to Your Hero Academia by Fangirl48 on AO3. Chapter 16 Reporters. Nezu and Toshinori looked at the book in front of them with unreadable expressions on their face, the television in the background showing a recording of this morning. Izuku sat on a box, megaphone in hand. The all-or-nothing user talked at the crowd of reporters rather than to them, equally ignoring everyone's attempts to ask him questions. A reminder to all you journalists, the boy shouted through the megaphone. None of the parents or guardians of these underage students have given permission to interview them. Any attempts to do so clearly gives evidence that could get you or your agency sued. So this, Nezu sipped his tea, looking at the album. This is all for one's idea. This is how he plans to help Izuku's problem? Hey, one of the unlucky reporters spoke up. Who do you think you are? We came here to talk to All Might, not some scrawny kid. Toshinori glanced at the TV where Izuku expectantly ignored the reporter's questions. The youth's ability to handle the press so easily must have come from having a politician for an older brother. As someone who had been on the receiving end of many reporters trying to rip All Might's mask of heroism off to show his true face underneath, Toshinori enjoyed watching this. So did President Mike and Aizawa, for that matter. It seems as the pair were shown in the background. The blonde clutched his side, trying hard not to laugh. Students are asked to ignore the... Hey, don't think I don't see that student from 2J. The camera panned to a guilty-looking student. Inside, come on now. Classes are starting soon, and I heard from numerous resources that if any of the students are late, everyone gets a pop quiz. That goes for all classes, by the way. Suddenly, all the students froze, making a mad dash for the gates a second later. Toshinori couldn't help but chuckle at the reporters' faces as they were left behind in the cloud dust. Even President Mike couldn't hold it in anymore and started laughing. And judging by the look on Aizawa's face, the underground hero was equally amused. Jumping off the box, Izuku picked it up and walked towards the gate, but one reporter still wouldn't give up, grabbing her cameraman and following him. Can you comment on who you are? The woman yelled, holding her hand out and asking questions. What's your name? Are you one of All Might's students? Izuku didn't even pause to look back. He simply pressed the megaphone over to Aizawa, leaving. The dark-haired man just gave a tired sigh and turned it on. Go home, everyone. You're interfering with our students. Aizawa shooed the press with his hand. If All Might wants to comment on his teaching, he'll hold a press conference. The reporter's attitude immediately turned hostile. Hey, we just want to talk with All Might. UA owes us that much at least. Yeah, another person chimed in. Who are you to tell us to go home anyways? Look at your sloppy appearance. No way you're a teacher here. Oh dear. Nezu placed his hand on his jaw, watching the screen just as intently as Toshinori was. I do hope Aizawa doesn't bait anyone this year. The last time someone acted like this, he made them so mad they tried to cross the barrier. As if some higher power was reacting to Nezu's words, the reporter who chased after Izuku now marched towards the underground hero. We demand to see All Might, the woman hissed. The others behind her chanting the hero's name. The public... A rather loud off-screen alarm before the metal gates made UA an impenetrable slam down. Nezu couldn't help but crackle as the cameraman extended the barrier to the obviously new journalist, muting the TV and turning back to Toshinori so they could continue their conversation. If the two had watched the TV screen just a little longer, they would have seen a mysterious dark figure across the street watching the school intently. So, turning back to earlier, Nezu picked up before. How did you come to get this? Oh, well... Flashback. Toshinori smiled down at the dog. Porch jumped around his legs in joy. The canine seemed to enjoy his day's training to be a service animal as much as his owners were enjoying school. On paper, Porch would be an emotional support animal that would help the students and teachers when they need it. The number one hero was looking forward to the day he could bring the dog to with him. Excuse me? A deep voice rang out, stopping the hero in his tracks. Turning around, he saw a sharply dressed man with dark, mist-like appearance standing in front of him holding a bag. Are you Toshinori Yagi? For some reason, warning bells went off in Toshinori's head. The man didn't appear threatening, but All Might was ready if that changed. Yes, I'm Toshinori Yagi. The blonde nodded. Is there a porch? Get back here! The dog in question barked back, running towards the stranger and sitting in front of him. Standing on his hind legs, the canine whiffed and gestured with the front paws. Sorry about him. Toshinori moved, squatting down and scooping up both the leash and the dog in one go. He's really friendly. The yellow eyes raised in what appeared to be amusement. The stranger extended both their hands, one handing Toshinori the bag he was carrying, the other allows Poach to sniff them. The dog barks in glee, trying to muzzle the stranger's hand, only to meet cool air causing them to sneeze. Cute. The man turned his attention back to Toshinori. My master told me you knew who to give this to. The blonde wondered who the stranger was talking about, only to realize a half-second later and nearly dropped poor Porch. You mean this is from all? Yes. The stranger nodded. The request that you not say his name, though, or follow me after, for that matter. I have completed my mission by giving you the packet. Have a good day. Toshinori was frozen long enough for the man to walk away and down a nearby alley. Snapping out of his stupor, the hero chased after the stranger, only to find the alley completely empty. It was like the well-dressed man had disappeared into thin air. End flashback. And that's what happened. I see. Nezu picked the album up, flipping open to the first page. A stern-looking couple was standing in front of the doorway. Next to the couple was a third person, a maid who appeared to be a baby with a baby in her arms. I'm assuming this is what All For One was talking about before, a photo album filled with family pictures for Izuku to have. Turning the page, Nezu couldn't help but want to upload a picture of the chubby cheap villain chewing on a teething ring, staring back at him. Next was the same maid holding a new baby in her arms. However, a man in a suit is more likely a butler or senior servant. A child-sized version of the old villain replaced the first couple. On and on the pictures went on, and through the years, showing the growth of the brothers. The mysterious servant and maid appeared numerous times. Izuku added later on, his bright smile looking back at the principal as he held the little girl's hand, giving the sign of victory. About halfway through the album, Nezu stopped and turned towards Toshinori. All For One was standing next to a woman wearing a wedding dress. No doubt this was Inko Akatani, the first All For One. I'll have to get Powerloader to run some tests, Nezu said, placing the album back on the table. Nothing too invasive. Scans and X-ray, the usual when it comes to things like this. Toshinori gave the book a suspicious look. You think he bugged the album? Better to be safe than sorry, Nezu hummed, closing the items. Besides, I doubt Izuku would be able to concentrate if we gave him this now, and Aizawa would be upset if our younger teacher skipped his classes. Oh, right. Toshinori glanced at the clock. It's almost lunch. Sorry, my morning meeting has me a little behind on time. That's quite all right, Nezu smiled, pouring another tea. All the teachers on active duty feel it at some point. Try talking to Aizawa one day after he comes off a long-term mission. Toshinori shivered. If he ever decided to do that, he would wait for the underground hero to sleep and have his coffee beforehand. President Mike would probably be the better teacher to talk about balancing his new responsibilities as a teacher. The voice hero not only worked at his own agency and taught here at UA, but also ran a top-rated radio show. If anyone could give him advice on the subject of time management, it would be President Mike. Now then, Nezu poured another cup, sliding it towards the number one hero. Let's discuss the upcoming trip for our students. Toshinori nodded. We're going to the USJ, right? We're going to the Universal Studios Japan? Izuku jumped, clapping his hands in excitement. No, Aizawa shook his head, gesturing to 13, whose shoulders were shaking in laughter as they got up to leave. There were times that the underground hero believed the other name of the facility, with the initials USJ, just to screw with the students. And people called Aizawa sadistic. The Unforeseen Simulation Joint. It's a training facility. Now that everyone's used to their quirks freely in battle and gotten an idea of what they can do, we will be working on rescue exercise. Okay, Izuku nodded. And I'm here because... Because? The underground hero reached out, flicking the other's forehead. Aside from you being one of the 4 teacher chaperones, you freaked out against Todoroki's ice during battle training. So I want you to look over the areas and tell me honestly where you think you might have a fit again. Izuku rubbed his head and looked at the offered paper. Most of the areas shown Izuku would have no problem with. There were only 2 that gave him cause for concern. I'll have to be careful in the ruined and camouflaging zone. The young teacher handed the paper back to Aizawa. Since I was in a small place for so long, I'll have to make sure not to get trapped. As for fire, I thought a lot of battles up close. Best to err on the safe side of caution. Aizawa nodded, making notes on the paper. His pen paused slightly, looking back at Izuku. Not worried about the flood zone? So long as no one drops me into the water far away from shore unexpectedly, I should be fine. Izuku shrugged, opening his mouth to ask about how Aizawa felt about Momo and Tenya being a class representative and vice rep. Suddenly, an alarm broke through, snapping all the teachers into action. What is that? Izuku asked, following the other teachers. Snipe answered, loading some bullets as he moved. Security alarms. Means the gates have been breached. All right, everyone. Midnight ran next to them, taking command with a sharp crack of her whip. Izuku marveled at how she was able to move so quickly and keep up in heels. Mike head to the broadcast room to tell all the students to find the nearest classroom and go inside. They're all to stay there until you or another teacher say otherwise. Yes, ma'am. The blonde saluted, running off. Power Loader, you and Ectoplasm are in charge as a wing support. Lock it down. Send clones out to sweep the perimeter and keep those gears head safe. Midnight pointed down the hall to her left, then gestured down of her right side. Vlad, 13, and I will take the gate. Aizawa, you scale the front of the building and provide erasure and backup. Everyone else, find any students you can and have them hide in the nearest classroom. Understood. Everyone nodded, breaking off into different directions. Izuku ran down one of the hallways, turning the corner when... Bam! Stumbling backwards, Izuku looked up to see what he had crashed into. He saw the same boy from the entrance exam standing before him. Opening his mouth, Izuku was about to tell the boy to find the nearest classroom, when he noticed dark purple eyes seemed slightly unfocused and took a deep breath. Hey, Izuku said calmly, placing one hand in front of the student. Do you remember me? We met at the entrance exam. What? Eyes focused a little more. The entrance exam? Shinso's eyes blinked a few more times, realizing who was in front of him, and quickly, as soon as he could, focused a little better. Ah, the brush-headed kid. Izuku twitched slightly, not commenting on his name, instead gesturing towards the classroom door near the pair. Teachers want us to find the nearest classroom and stay put until they say so. The green-haired student spoke, opening the door. Luckily for the pair, no one else was using the room. Izuku knew he should keep going to find more students, but something in his gut told him not to leave. Look like it's just us. The alarm gave another large shrill, causing Shinso to jump slightly. It wasn't that it bothered him or anything, but it did bring back memories of his parents' car accident. Izuku did not miss how the other grabbed his arms and squeezed tightly. Do you like dogs? What? Shinso turned to look at the stranger. Dogs, Izuku said, pulling out his phone, bringing up a picture of Porch and showing him off like a proud dad. This is Porch. Shinso stared at the picture of the happy dog being showed in his face and pushed the phone down. I prefer cats. Izuku blinked, a shy smile coming to his lips. Another Lord of Chaos. Got it. Lord of what? Shinso asked, looking confused. Come on, Lord of Orders and Chaos? Izuku looked at the purple-haired man like he was crazy. Claron, the Witch Boys, and Dr. Fate? Shinso just shook his head. Never heard of them. Izuku gasped and grabbed Shinso's shoulders, pulling him closer with a severe look on his face. Batman. The other shook their head again. Izuku wanted to cry when he saw it. Who didn't know Batman? He was like a butler version of Aizawa. Opening up an app he had downloaded, Archive of Our Animation, Izuku brought up one of his favorite episodes of an old Batman show. Immediately, Shinso became invested in the show's main character as he battled some weird clown-looking guy. The Brainwasher's favorite hero were Eraserhead and Eggshot. It was like some of the best parts he had been fused together. By the episode finished, every time had passed that. The Brainwasher's favorite heroes were Eraserhead and Eggshot. It was like some of the best parts had been fused together. By the episode finished, every time had passed that President Mike was able to broadcast an update. Hey there, all you little listeners out there. The voice heroes came over the PA, just letting you know that you can go back to your classrooms. Some rather unrockin' reporters broke into our fairgrounds, and now waiting for police to collect them. Unfortunately, because of this afternoon, classes have been canceled. But before you can go, please return to your homerooms and collect today's homework. We'll see you again bright and early tomorrow morning. This is President Mike signing off. Izuku frowned. If classes were being canceled, Nezu probably didn't know how the reporters got in. Not wanting to risk the students' safety, sending everyone home or to the dorms was best. It would also limit the number of people who could interfere while they investigated. Reaching upwards to stretch, Izuku began to walk away when a hand reached out and grabbed his wrist. Wait, Shinso said, grabbing just a little tighter. What's Batman's quirk? Quirk? Izuku said, turning and snorting. Batman doesn't need a quirk. He's Batman. What? The green-haired boy nodded. I suppose you would call him quirkless nowadays. He's quirkless, Shinso repeated in disbelief. But this person thought a fictional character was so strong and intelligent. How could someone like that not have any powers? Then that clown guy he was fighting, he must have a villain's quirk. Joker? And no. Izuku shook his head again. Joker's just as quirkless as Batman. Also, what the hell is a villain's quirk anyway? Shinso bit his lip, but Izuku continued. Quirks as I see them are natural. Neither good nor bad. Joker, and no. Izuku shook his head again. Joker's just as quirkless as Batman. Also, what the hell is a villain's quirk anyways? Shinso bit his lip, but Izuku continued. Quirks as I see them are neutral, neither good nor bad. Izuku sliding his phone back into his pocket. Anyone to claim a person's quirk is inherently good or evil is just stupid. But, Sensei, it's Shinso's fault. He used his quirk on us. Brainwashing, huh? Well, just have to keep an eye on you then. Sounds criminal, Shinso. It's the perfect power for a villain to have. I heard his grandfather was a villain. Keep away from him. The man's blood dirty runs through his veins, so it's only a matter of time. Shinso felt a strong wind pass him, driving all the negative memories away. Hitoshi, his grandfather's strong voice came. The male knelt down before him, placing a firm hand on his head. I am me, and you are you. That quirk belongs to you, and you alone. Whatever you decide to do with it, it is your decision. Do you think I can become a hero? Shinso blurted out. His eyes went wide as he covered his mouth. A hero? Izuku tilted his head again, walking closer and examining the other. Well, I don't know, we just met, but my first impression is no. Icy fingers gripped the brainwasher's heart. Hitoshi should have known that. Physically, I don't think you could keep up, Izuku continued, lifting his arms and flexing off to show some muscle. No offense, but you have noodle arms. But if you built up your strength, I bet you could give us some run for our money. You seem very stubborn and determined to prove someone wrong about something. Us? Oh, right, I forgot to introduce myself. Izuku blinked, holding his hand out to the other. Izuku Midoriya, 1A. Shinso looked at the other hand for a second before extending his own. 1C. Hitoshi Shinso. Nice to meet you, Hitoshi, Izuku said, taking the hand. Now then, let's talk about exercise. Shinso had this feeling, that one he did when his pamphlet about the sports festival came. As the two walked, it was as a feeling of hope, and he listened to Izuku babble on and on about different workout routines. Judging from your frame, I doubt you could pull off raw power like Batman or Punisher. Sorry, forgot you don't know those guys. They're like All Might or Endeavor size. Rather, I think you would do best with Nightwing or Black Widow's approach. Crap, sorry, Eraserhead and Midnight. I actually like that chapter a little bit. It sets up for something. Also, Porch being an emotional support dog. I love that. Love, love, love that. I can't wait to see more of Porch. I'm not a very big dog person anymore. I'm more of a cat person. Like, don't get me wrong, I love dogs. They're adorable, they're cute, lovely. I'm more of a cat person now. I transitioned towards cat after a childhood dog of mine died. Look, I swear to you, that dog was a cat trap in a dog's body. I'm sorry. But that dog liked to sunbathe. That dog hated dog toys, but loved cat toys. That dog hated the water like the plague. The plague. That dog was lazier than motherfucking shit. Literally everything that dog did screamed cat. And whatever. I'm more of a cat person now. Even though I've never ever had a cat before. I really want a cat, but unfortunately my cousin who visits a lot is heavily allergic to cats. So the possibilities of me having a cat while living with my family is very, very, very slim. Super slim. Like 1% I might get a cat. 99% I won't. But it's very interesting to see Izuku talk about pre-Quirk stuff. Also, Izuku and Shinso having a friendship. I love that. I think my favorite characters in My Hero Academia have to be Eraserhead, Present Mike, Izuku, Shinso, Bakugo. Those are my favorite. Those are my top. Not necessarily in that specific order, right? There's different orders and some characters tie with each other. But yeah, I love these characters. And I can't wait to see the next chapter and see what happens. Especially seeing what they're gonna do with the USJ incident and stuff like that. Also hearing that Izuku's okay with the flood zone as long as he isn't, out of nowhere put in the deep end, just, far away from shore with no notice. Knowing what happens, I'm a little scared. Just a tad bit. Just a little bit, just a little bit. But as always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Join our community Discord server, link is in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content. And thank you so much for watching.